I hate to do this, but I gotta do it. Yo, Jason Wilson went over to the TD Jakes podcast and they got to talking about men and their fear of marriage. And I gotta be real with you. The things that they were saying show that they are absolutely clueless of what men in today's modern dating, relationship, and marriage environment are dealing with, man. I get it. The advice that they gave, it made sense decades ago. But bro, we not back 20 years ago, 30 years ago when women were completely different. We in a space now where the scene it's not looking good for most men. And that's one of the reasons why men feel the way they feel about getting married. But hey, before we get into how I feel about it, let's hear what they had to say so y'all can see what I mean. Let's get into it.
Scene. Do you think that's the reason that a lot of young men have decided not to get married or not to get married soon? What do you think is the root cause? Is it the intimidation of women going to school more, making more money, or is it more about just enjoying their own?
Yo, we got to stop right there. Yo, TD, chill, bro. Chill. You talking about women more educated, making more money than men, bro. Like, these statistics have been proven to be false, man. Yo, we know people want to buy into that narrative that women are more educated and make more money than men. Yo, it's cap. Yo, stop believing that. Stop believing that lie and stop spewing it, especially as a black man, bro. Like, you got to stop that narrative, man. We got to kill that. I just got to address that because what you're saying is false and you're trying to lead into the fact that men are afraid of marriage because women are doing so much better than them, man. It's not even about that. But yo, let's get back. I didn't mean to stop it, but yo, man, he was talking crazy. All right, let's get into it.
Own lives and being themselves. What do you think that is?
From the men that I've talked to about this very subject, it's their fear of being seen for who they really are.
Uh-huh.
See, when you're married,
everything shows.
You do get depressed sometimes, or you do lack confidence, or you do have fears. And I tell brothers all the time, you must remember Lois Lane fell in love with Clark Kent, not Superman.
You're
Jason, we talking about Superman and Clark Kent. Like, come on. Okay, I get what he's saying, right? I like to be objective. Like, I'm not super biased. I try my best to look at things from multiple perspectives. So what he's saying about men not feeling seen, and that is the reason why they fear getting into a marriage. Like, no doubt, there are some men who have a fear of wondering if they can be transparent and even to a certain extent be vulnerable and just be their true self around a woman that they're with, and they're not sure if they can do that. And yes, some men that may be leading them to marriage, but I would say most of the men that I talk to nowadays, they are not afraid of getting married because they feel like they can't be their true self. Like, it go way deeper than that, and I'm gonna get into it, but let me allow Jason to continue to make his point. And yo, let's be real, if we talking about modern women today, like, they ain't looking for no Clark Kent, my guy. They want a Superman. So you can understand why so many men feel like they have to, they got to meet that expectation of the women that's out here on the market and be Superman, or either say, you know what, forget them. I'm gonna just focus on building my kingdom and doing what I'm doing. And maybe they not necessarily in a position where they don't want to get married, but maybe they're just like, yo, I got to wait until I find the right one. Yo, that's kind of how I see it. But yo, let's let me let Jason get back to what he was saying, y'all.
Right.
And so when brothers recognize that, like me and Nicole, I ain't had no money. She made more than me.
Right.
But we got it together. I didn't allow what I didn't have to stop me from getting who I had in front of me.
Yo, and see, this is what I mean. Like, that worked 20 years ago, 30 years ago, man. Like, women were in a place where a man didn't have to have everything. A man didn't have to come and have all of the money and have everything completely figured out. Now, there are people today that will argue that, yo, women back in the day, they shouldn't have made those commitments or got married to those men if they didn't bring a whole bunch of money and everything together. Like, what women are expecting nowadays, it really seems like perfection. Like, they want a man to provide everything, but then there's not this, it's not mutually. It's not mutual in the sense of, like, women are not trying to say, hey, I got this and I'm bringing this and I want to, offer this to you as a wife and as a helpmeet. So what Jason is saying, it's relevant, but it's not relevant to the men today, man. Like, women, if you come and you just want to be in a relationship with them and you show up as your true self and you bring that value, even if men are making decent money, women are like, yo, you ain't making 6 figures, you ain't making 7 figures, and they cut a brother off from there. So where is taking that into consideration? The advice is antiquated. This is outdated. It doesn't apply in the modern environment. And let's be real, I don't even think it applies when you look at even women in the church, because a lot of women in the religious circles and in the faith, they also have adopted a lot of these modern beliefs that men have to have all of the things put together. They got to be the perfect package in order for a woman to even be willing to accept them or even commit to them. So that's just a little bit of my thoughts. Let's hear more about Jason. I want to let him do his thing.
Right.
And so I tell brothers, like, there's what's the classic, Mr. Wilson, I need to get my ducks in a row.
Right.
And I joke, so when have you ever seen ducks in a row? And they start laughing. I'm like, yes, you want to be prepared. Yes, you want to have your finances in order if you can. She's called a helper for a reason as well.
You're right. You're right. Biblically, a woman is supposed to be a man's helpmeet. But Jason, TD Jakes, how many women today actually want to be a helpmeet? Let's be real. How many women are like, yo, I can't wait to be a helpmeet for a man? I don't see that many. And to me, the biggest fear that a lot of men have now is not a fear of what you're talking about being seen. It's the fear of, let me just keep it real. They're afraid that there aren't any more women like the ones you're talking about, Jason. We're like, yo, the supply and demand is not the way it was decades ago. Like the supply back in the day of women like that were willing to be a helpmeet, that were willing to, grow and build with a man no matter what he was bringing to the table. If she was rocking with him, she was rocking with him. There was a greater supply of those women. Today, that supply is low. A lot of women do not have that mindset. A lot of women do not want to be helpmeets. A lot of women are not trying to come alongside a man and help him to achieve the things that God has put in his heart. And sadly to say, that is even a reflection of some women in the church, in the faith. That's real talk. And when we ignore that, we're not able to actually address the issue. We can't keep talking about the solution to the problem is what was being done in the past. We got to address what's happening today. That's the way that we truly help men. You got to acknowledge what men are going through and helping them to figure out, okay, bro, there is a small supply of the type of women that really are worthy of being married and that are wanting to be helpmeets like the Bible talks about. So what do you have to do as a man in order to meet one of those women? Put yourself in a position to find one of those women. Like when the Bible talks about he who findeth a wife, that is no more true than it is today, because a man literally has to go out and find that type of woman because she is not readily available. She is not any and everywhere that you go and any and everywhere that you look. That's just my take. Let me let Jason get back to his thing.
Maybe that's what it took for me. Because now I truly value who my wife is in my life.
Right.
That I can be transparent. And what makes it even more powerful, Bishop, is when she see you move through the fear.
Yeah.
When you can say, yeah, babe, I'm a little nervous here, or I'm scared this might not go well, but you still walk through it.
Right.
That's a testimony.
Yeah.
I seen you walk through that. But if she never sees it, then you get mad like they don't care.
Yeah.
You look like you're not affected by anything.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, now the point that he's making here is a solid point. But again, I feel like this is only applicable when you find that type of woman. When you have a type of woman who wants to be a helpmeet, who wants to comfort you, who wants to be there for you when you are experiencing challenges, a woman that is worthy of you being transparent and opening up to. With that type of woman, for sure. No fear at all to marry that type of woman. When you ask me, I feel like the biggest fear that modern men have today, and let me make one thing very clear. I'm not talking about men who have zero desire of getting married. I'm talking about men who truly still have a desire to get married. Their biggest fear from the conversations that I've had, and even my own personal experience to a certain extent, is we are afraid that we're not going to marry or find the right woman. That's the main fear. That's what we have to address. What do you do when there are men who want to marry or get married, but there's a short supply of the women that are worthy of being wives, women that match what we see in the Bible, a helpmeet, woman that we see in the Bible, a Proverbs 31 woman, right? Where are those type of women? Like the Ruths, like where are they? They are not in They are high in demand, but they are not in great supply. See, a lot of this is being pushed off on men when we really got to address the women and say, hey, like, why have y'all moved or shifted away from what the Bible is saying? Like, do y'all have faith that God is going to bring the right man into your life, that maybe even if he don't have all of the things that you may desire right now in this moment, he does have a plan and a strategy to get that for the both of you and your family? To me, that's what it's really about. But that's just my thoughts, man. That's just my thoughts. Let's finish off, listen to what Jason has to say.
And so I believe that's the main reason that men hesitate with marriage. And then you got the fear of divorce. That's really big as well.
Right.
Taking your money.
Right.
Now I got to give him credit here. This is a real fear. And I will say this. So like the first part of what he said, definitely I don't think is applicable for most of the modern men. Like, yes, there are some men who may be fearful because, they don't think that they can be seen in that relationship or in that marriage. But this is a much greater fear than that. So I will give him credit for mentioning that. But I would say a lot of men who truly want to get married, like, that prevailing thought of divorce isn't there. I feel like that's more so men who are jaded, who are listening to a lot of this, like red pill type of content, and they are really becoming turned off by even the concept of marriage. But I think most men of faith, still desire to get married, but we're just trying to figure out, where are these women that, Jason and TD Jakes and other men of faith and the men that we see in the Bible were able to actually find? Like, now it's about, what do us as men have to do to be able to find these type of women? And what can the women do on their behalf to become the type of woman that supply can actually increase? I think that's really the problem that we need to be solving for, as opposed to talking about, it's you as a man not being willing to open up and be yourself and feel like you can be seen in this relationship. Yeah, that works, but only with the right woman. We got to address that first.
But if you got the right woman and you know it,
right,
there's still this hesitancy.
See, that's the thing. You got the right woman and you know it. That's the thing. That's the biggest problem right there, is the right women are not in high supply. So as men, it's not so much that we're afraid of marriage or we're afraid to get married, but it's like, we want to get married to the right type of woman. The same way women are like, they don't want to settle. They don't want to, like just accept anything. Neither do men. I don't think anybody should. But when we are not acknowledging the fact that, there's a short supply of the right type of woman, we got to acknowledge that. That's real. That's where the real issue is. If we had way more of the right women out there, I feel like there would be a lot more men that are getting married, because, hey, man, there go your Ruth. There go your Proverbs 31. There go your help me. You know what I'm saying?
Because she still loves me when she knows who I really am.
That's good.
That's part of it, but
That's good. I think we had that.
That's part of it, man, but that's not all of it. That's not all of it. And I think it's more so about, how can we address the main issue?
About a lot of relationships.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Would you love me if you really knew who I was? And I think that's the deepest kind of loneliness. Loneliness has nothing to do with how many people are around you.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Loneliness is all about the depth to which you allow somebody to see inside of you.
Yeah. So I think that's the end of what I wanted to address. You heard my thoughts. I feel like the biggest issue and the main prevailing fear that men have is finding the right woman, and whether or not the right women for, us men of faith will ever be in high supply, or if that supply will ever increase. And I feel like that is something that only the women can determine. Men cannot make a woman be a Proverbs 31. A man can't make a woman want to be a helpmeet. We can't do that. All we can do is show up and be as righteous as we can according to the word of God, take care of the responsibilities that God has put on us, be about our purpose, be about our business, so that we can build with the right woman. But will we be able to find that right woman? Are women actually trying to become that right woman? If they are, and I would love it. Prove me wrong. If you one of them women, get in the comments and let us know. Because a lot of us men out here, in our experience, we haven't seen these women. We don't hear these women. When you go on social media, those ain't the women we seeing. We're seeing all of these other women that are not the right women. The women that the Bible tells us to flee from and stay away from. Right? At least that's my take. Those are my thoughts. Would love to hear yours if you want to share them in the comments below. Again, much respect to TD Jakes and Jason Wilson. I got the utmost respect for both of them. I just wanted to just express that, sometimes, we can have part of the thing or the equation right, but there's other pieces that are not, and they need to be adjusted. And I felt like we had to adjust this one because there is a fear of marriage, but we got to make sure we're addressing the right fear.